Hello, my dear class 12. I am teacher Shimna. Today our topic is about the system life cycle design phase. Let's start our session. First of all, we can go through the learning objectives. By the end of this session, you will be able to evaluate the data collection forms. You can also design a screen or a screen layout, different types of validation routines. You are able to evaluate it. Then you can also identify the hardware and software for a new system. The first one, that is data collection forms. What you meant by a data collection form? It is documented that are used to collect data without the use of a computer. That means you can collect the data from the users manually. We will not use any gadgets here. Examples: membership application forms or a questionnaire, job applications or reply slips. What are the principles to follow when design a data collection form? Because we need to design a data collection form, then we will print ourselves. Then we are going to distribute that forms to the users. They will write everything or they will fill the forms manually. That means they will not use the computers. Okay? Avoid colors as the document may not print it in colors. It can be the black and white, so no need to use a lot of colors in your data collection form. Then, include instructions about how to complete the form. The users, they will not have an idea how to complete the form, so you should give a lot of instructions. Give clear instructions about where the form should be returned. Okay. Identify which questions must be answered and which are optional. That means the mandatory and the optional types of questions to be added, and you should also mention that. Provide enough space for each answer. Use tick boxes for multiple choice lists. In some forms, you will see that the tick boxes like gender, it can be male or female. At that time, they will use the tick boxes. Make it clear how many options are allowed to be chosen from a multiple choice list. Okay. For example, here, the list of the jobs. Okay. They will also mention how many options that the user can tick. Everything should be cleared or mentioned clearly in your data collection form. Ensure all fonts are consistently used. Avoid cluttering the forms with too much information or too many questions. Okay. Always give the enough questions that should be very clear and related to the form. Ensure the font style and size are legible. Okay. If the size is too small, the users, they are not able to see that. At the same time, the font style should be in a clear manner. If the respondent needs to be complete a scale, for example 1 to 10, they can choose a value in between 1 to 10, then explain what the scale represents. For example, 1 means they are not satisfied, or the 5 means neither satisfied or dissatisfied, like a neutral form, or the 10 means very satisfied. Okay. Then next, this is an example of membership application form. Okay. The designer during the system life cycle, they will create this kind of forms and they can also given to the users. Okay. This is an example of membership application. It has a lot of details, and the users or any customers, they need to provide the information to the space provided here. Okay. and next. So the first one is what? The data collection form. The second one is screen layout. Okay, the screen layout can be used to ask the user for data to be input or to display the information to the users, or a mixture of both. Can be any kind of data that we are going to enter to the computers, or that some of the data that we need to be displayed. This is an example. The address, it should be something that need to input to the computers, and you will see a picture, okay, of a property that is displayed. Right? So here you will find a screen, and this is a screen that we need to display it, or we need to create, so that the users, they can enter everything with the help of a computer. Okay. Next. What are the things that we need to follow while making a good screen? Okay, the same like while we are creating the data collection form, it will also use the colors sparingly and appropriately, because it will be in color mode. So we can use a lot of colors here, and the different colors could be used for questions and response, or the different types of data. Okay. And the colors that the user expects should be used. For example, green is usually seen as a positive color, and a red as a negative color. Okay, we have to use the colors according to the questions and the responses, and all the fonts are used with consistency. Okay, for example, some fonts can be very small, or some others can be big. It should not be like that. Okay, everything should be synchronized. Avoid cluttering the screen with too much information. At the same time, try to fit all information that need to be viewed at the same time on a single screen. Okay, it's the same like we are entering the details while making a new account, the sign up details. If everything in a one page, it's easy for the users to enter everything at the same time. Okay, so while creating a screen or a screen layout, it is good to make everything in a one page. Ensure the font styles and sizes are legible. Then, if the screen requires user input, include instructions about how to complete the forms. Okay, identify which questions to be answered and which are optional. Same like which some of the questions should be answered, like the mandatory, that questions they should enter. Some of the questions that can be optional. Okay, provide enough space for each answer. Use tick boxes for multiple choice lists that can have more than one response. Okay, the multiple choice, like the tick boxes, they can enter, or they can tick more than one option, but they during the design, they should also provide how many inputs or how many ticks they can provide on that question. Use drop down boxes or optional buttons for the multiple choice list that can only have one responses. Multiple choice tick, we will use the tick boxes for multiple choice, and drop down boxes or optional buttons for the multiple choice, but they can have only one response. Here, for the tick boxes, they can use more than one response. Okay, that is the difference between the tick boxes and drop down optional buttons. Third one, that is validation routine. Okay, the validation routines are some of the rules that should be used wherever the possible and appropriate in order to reduce the number of possible input errors. They only need to be used for input data, so any calculation or output data do not require validating. The validation rules, we already discussed about the validation rules in the first unit, that are the database and the file concept. The validation means we need whatever data that we are going to enter, we should validate it, so it can reduce the possible input errors. They only need to be used for input data, so any calculation or output data do not require validating. Whatever values or that we are going to enter, that need the validation. The output data, it does not have any kind of validation. Okay. The drop-down boxes should always be used instead of lookup validation check. For example, if a category needs to be selected, then drop-down box should be used to select that category rather than requiring the user to type in the category. Okay, so that is a type of validation. Sometimes we need to use the drop-down boxes because the users, they need to choose that category only. They don't want to type it. Okay. When designing a routing validation rule, identify the input data that is to be validated, the type of validation rule to be used, the rule that will be used, and the error message that should appear if the data input is invalid. For example, when I am entering the details like enter your email ID. If your email ID that is not valid, they will create the error message or an error message, right? So that is a kind of validation. Okay. See, the present, that value or any values that is present. Okay. It's a kind of validation. Okay. Some data that the users, they need to be entered that value. Okay. If they do not enter, they will say, please enter the values. For example, their usernames or the passwords, the range. They will provide a range. You need to enter only the characters between 1 to 5. Okay. So if they exceed 5, they will say it's incorrect, or you should enter the appropriate value, like that. It may happen while making the password. The type of data. The type can be a number. Sometimes you need to enter a number, but you will say it's an alphabet, but it will not work. Okay. The length is the same, like the number of values to be entered. The format is same like you are entering the email ID www. Your Gmail address at gmail.com. That format should be correct. Then only they will input, or you can enter your details correctly. Otherwise, they will make the error message. Okay. Here there are some of the validation routing. That means the error message should be positive and guide the users as to what to do to correct the error. Okay. The surname. It is a presence. The surname must be entered. The presence means you need to enter. It's not an optional data, it's a mandatory. So if you did not enter your surname, they will say please enter a surname. The date of birth, the range. Okay, the date of birth must be at least 18 years earlier than today. Okay, so they will make a range. The applicant must be at least 18 years old. It may happen while you are downloading any game. The criteria or the range is greater than 18, or if you need an account in FB, they will say that you should be your birth date should be the 18 years. Your age should be 18 years or up. So if you are less than 18 years or younger than 18 years, they will make an error message. The application number, the type. Okay, it must be a whole number. Okay, you are not able to enter the numbers like 4.5. It's not a whole number. So you can also mention the validation type. Okay, the application number must contain only numbers, or if you are entering by mistake A or B, they will say it should be a number. The telephone length, that must be between 3 to 15 digits. The length, it should not exceed 15 or should not be less than 3. Okay, so they will make an error message if you enter these details wrongly. Okay, then the product code, the format. Here, this is the format. Same like you are entering the email ID. Okay, so if you are not able to enter the details correctly, they will make the error message. Okay, so these are some of the validation routines. We have the 5 types of validation, and we discussed already these types of validation in chapter 1. Okay, they are presence, range, type, length, and format. These are the 5 types of validation. Okay, so we should follow all this routine in order to reduce all the error message while entering anything with the help of the screen. Okay, next, hardware and software for a new system. Okay, earlier in this chapter we already learned about the system specification, means what are the hardwares and softwares that we need for our system. Okay, here the designer will need to decide what kind of hardwares and softwares is used for making your system or a new system. Okay, if the application being designed is a small one, then it may be able to run on existing hardware and software within the organization. If your project is very small, you can use any kind, you can use the existing hardware and software. Okay, the designer will need to determine the minimum hardware and software requirements and then find out if the hardware and software already exist and can be used. The designer, they are the one who determine what kind of hardwares and softwares are needed in order to create your system. And they will make a check, or they will create a plan that the currently available systems, if they can use that kind of systems in order to create your new system, everything will be determined by the designer. In some circumstances, the applications will need additional software in order to run. Okay, so they need to create or they need to buy a new types of software in order to run your new system. This is particularly the case if the database solution is being developed. The designer will therefore need to identify a new software that is needed. Okay, then next point is, if the existing hardware within the organization. We already discussed the softwares and hardwares needed for your systems. If the software is not enough, so they need to buy or they need to add a new software to the current system. If the hardware within the organization is not capable of running the software required, so does not have enough storage space for the data, then upgrade to the existing hardware or a new hardware will need to be specified. Okay, so the application that is to be designed will require Microsoft Access 2016 for Windows. List out the minimum hardware specification that is needed to run the software. This is your task, and you will find some of the questions here. DFD, we already discussed what is a DFD. It's a diagram. Okay, we discussed already about the different types of diagrams that's used for creating a new system. And one of the rules for data flow within level 1, in the there are 2 types of levels in DFD, level 0s and level 1. Okay, then I describe the difference between tick box and the option box. Here I told you that the tick box and the option box or the drop down list, they are used if we have more than one data to be input. If we are using the tick boxes, in a multiple choice, you can enter more than one data. If it's an option button, they can choose only one data. Okay, here for tick box, both of them they are used in multiple choice. For one, that is okay.